all this time we find out that
We were recording.
I think so. The red.
It's recording, yeah.
There, that red circle.
Focused. Hello, guys. Welcome to Black Kids, White Coats. I'm Nelson.
This is Lillian.
And it's good to see y'all again. This time we're bringing you a video with a super exciting topic. We're going to talk about our experience with M1 year, our experience so far in med school, all the good stuff, the bad stuff, some tear sheds, some celebrations, all of that. So sit tight and enjoy the show. Okay. So we'll start off from the beginning, right? We'll go sequentially. So we'll start talking about what we did the summer before enrolling in medical school. So you can go ahead and start.
Okay, so the summer before medical school, I was actually, so for my gap year, I did the youth service program in Nigeria. And actually leading up to medical school, I was there. Like, I think I got in the week before school started.
Yeah, you cut it close.
I cut it pretty close. So that played a major role in how I prepped for med school and all that stuff. But yeah, that was basically what I did, essentially. Cool. I didn't do any studying or reading. I was still trying to get my stuff together for medical school. Still living life. Yep. Gotcha. What about you?
All right, so my story's a bit different. I did what's called a post-baccalaureate program. And for those who don't know, it's a program you do sometime between your undergraduate years and your medical school years. Mine is unique in that it's what's called a conditional program, in that we took anatomy, physiology, histology, basically all the classes an M1 or a first-year medical student would take. And if we got a certain GPA, then we were conditionally accepted to the medical school, meaning we had a seat in the next enrollment cycles class. That was pretty exciting. So that's what I did the year and the summer leading up to my M1 year.
So you were better off than I was?
Well, in some respects, you could say I didn't have as much fun, but I definitely enjoyed the material we were able to learn ahead of time. So
I think that could have been helpful.
I think it was helpful.
I mean, for me, looking back on M1 year, I mean, I think I did okay. That I didn't, I guess, necessarily need the post-bac program, but I guess, exposing myself to that material beforehand. I had never taken anatomy before, so that could have been pretty helpful.
Gotcha. You got in right away. You were accepted right away. My acceptance was contingent on post-bac, so you were already set.
That's true. Okay, next we're going to talk about our M1 year, actual M1 year.
Yep, the good, the bad, the ugly.
What was the good?
Lots of good.
What was the good? Tell me more about your good.
Let's see, M1 year, looking back at it, it seems like it was a blur. But I guarantee you, while we were going through it, it was definitely a hard-fought battle.
Whew.
Lots of good, lots of bad, lots of introspective just analysis, why do I really want to do this? How badly do I want it? And 1 year, it tends to just test you like that. But I think overall I had a great experience. Again, the post-bac helped a lot with the material and with my study style. My study habit was one of the biggest improvements I made from undergrad to now.
You have to.
You absolutely have to.
Yeah.
And you can't be too stubborn and just rely on the same habits that might have been okay, but currently they might not be adequate for M1 material. But yeah, I think overall I had a good M1 year.
Overall, M1 year is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, now I can say it was fine. In the moments, there were times where I was just is it really medicine though? There were times where I'd be I would legit be crying, just trying to, you know what I mean? So it was tough. But it's just also, like you said, learning how to study, learning how to just, work things out, essentially. Exactly. So you got to just be ready to
grind.
The grind time is real. Yeah. For me, it was anatomy. A lot of people, so our school, or my school, emphasizes anatomy a lot, and it was a full year. I know some schools do only one semester, a few weeks, and I'm what? We had a whole year of anatomy, so that was one of the hardest subjects for me to adjust to. But what really helped me was talking to students before, the people who were higher classes, just to see how they got through it. That was really helpful. I would recommend doing that personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another big thing is you just have to be you have to be dynamic. You have to be like able to change and just analyze yourself and your habits.
Oh yeah.
You know, either after every exam or after every set period of time, and just see, hey, is what I'm doing working? Is it not? If it's not, then kind of talk to an advisor or another student, like Lily said, to see if I can change my habits, because that's the name of the game. If you don't analyze and just change, then you'll really get buried.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think like even like for me like right now like that's like one thing I'm learning, like, yo, you got to stay in your lane. Like people are in med school, like people have whole PhDs, and like you're gonna look around and be like, oh, this person knows how to do it, or like you know what I mean. But like you got to stay in your lane. Like he said, like just figure out where you are at like at every point in time. There was a lot of growth, I feel like, for me, not only in like studying habits, but like socially as well. But like just like making sure you're checking yourself, because it's like you can't look around. Like it's not a good idea to look around. Let me not say you can't look around, because people, like I said, people will have like masters or PhDs in certain subjects. I came in with just a year out of undergrad, so like I mean there was nothing extra other than like the bio classes. I mean I was a bio major, so it was helpful to be a bio major and like doing medical school. But like people.
Oh, I have someone in my class who's a PhD in biochemistry.
Yep, biochemistry.
So imagine how good he was. Like, you can't compare yourself to people like that.
Yeah.
You'll have different study styles. You'll have different background knowledge, and you'll really just dig yourself into a rut if you try to compare yourself to everybody in your class. So just trust in what you do and trust in your self-analysis. And if it works, stick with it. If it doesn't, then modify it. That's one of the best pieces of advice that I was given, that I implemented, and it really helped. It's hard to do, but you gotta just work at it. It's
very hard to do. And I feel like even going back, like, to undergrad, so, like, that's another thing. For me, I mean, just personal experience, like, and like, being in undergrad and being on all these competitive classes, I was looking around, like, comparing myself to other people, and, like, it's funny, because, like, we still ended up in the same place. Like, even if I felt like I was inadequate in some, places, like, we still ended up in the same place. So I'm just, like, saying, like, it'll be okay. Trust that it'll be okay. Work hard and know where you are at,
exactly.
As a person, like in every aspect. So that's my it's like advice, and like like stuff I learned from M1 year still. So.
And one more thing. So as med students, we tend to have a certain type of like type A personality. We're very just like maybe perfectionists. We might be very like set on a certain way, and if like when you get a bunch of type A's in one room, it's like who can outdo the other one, It's
crazy.
So you'll have people who just try to sell you on their way of studying, or they'll try to always have a misery contest. Like, oh my God, I studied all weekend, I barely even saw the sunlight, and you're like, okay, like. It's almost like a pride or badge of honor to just be miserable. Yeah.
Nah.
Me, I'm a really low stress person. I'm like, I don't have the typical personality. I'm super chill. So I tend to stay away from people who might stress me out by continuously talking about how miserable they are.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be a good thing for y'all to do too.
Surround yourself with positive vibes only. Exactly. Positive vibes only, like, for sure. Yeah. And also, like, just one other thing to point out, they don't really spoon feed you information.
No, it's a water hose, and you're just drinking from it.
Just like. I mean, it depends. I mean, you have to figure out what's they will always say like high yield. Like, figure out that stuff that's high yield. Yeah. From that, you can go like first aid and like what's it called, course directors, to see what's like important to actually learn, because there's a bunch of information.
There's a lot, and each professor puts their twist on it. Like, a professor might be doing diabetes research, and all his biochemistry is going to be always referred to diabetes. Like, you have to always have some kind of like benchmark or standard source of study, whether it's Kaplan, step 1, like Lily said. Like, this is all stuff you'll figure out, and you'll have to make sure you're not over-resourced too, because that's the thing.
Oh yeah.
Figure out which couple of resources you want to use and stick with them, because over-resourcing, you'll see. You guys will see. It can be just as deadly as not having resources at all. So.
Oh yeah. Yep. See. Okay, we're gonna talk about our study habits and how that has developed or changed even up till now.
Yeah. So for me, like I mentioned earlier, the post-bac program really helped me solidify how I study. I realized that I'm a visual learner, so having pictures, having things that are drawn out, just seeing them helps me remember them because I really do picture it in my mind's eye, and it helps me. So knowing that, I started off in 1 year, I would have like a Word document, and each professor gives you a list of course objectives at the beginning of each PowerPoint. And I would copy and paste those course objectives and basically answer them, like fill in the blanks and copy and paste like screenshots of mechanisms and all these pictures of processes into that Word doc. And that was like my study guide. I realized that took a long time, but in doing that, actually making them is studying. So I was like, I didn't feel too bad about it.
Yeah.
But as the year progressed, I found out about this. Well, I knew about this the whole time, but this program called Anki, and it's a really good electronic flashcard, like spaced repetition program. And I realized that I could just basically do the same exact thing I was doing in the Word document on the Anki, and it would be a pre-made spaced repetition modality. So instead of transferring the Word document to a note card setup, I would be studying and putting my stuff directly onto the note cards. So that really helped me out, and with that, it was very easy to go back, the next day and just click through some flashcards. And since I made it, I was able to remember even more. So that's currently what I do. I love it, but there's a million other ways to study.
There's so many ways to
how'd you
study.
study?
For me, like I said, I didn't really do school before coming. Like I had a gap year, and like compared to other people, like I was only a year out, but like I think coming back it was a bit difficult because I was like, it's not the same as undergrad. It's not the same. So I think I had to try and figure out what worked for me, and I found that like I'm actually more of like an audio learner, but I'm like audio visual. Like I watching videos and like going to lecture. So I actually went to lecture like a lot. I mean, I know in some schools it's like mandatory, but like for us it isn't mandatory. But like I actually found myself going. Some lectures were not worth going to, but like I went to lectures my first year and like just talked to course directors, and if I had questions about like subjects or like topics that I wasn't sure about, I would like try and get in a group study and like try and talk it out or like talk to a course director, and that's all about like the listening into things. I think that was what really helped. Right now it's a little different, like because we're starting our second year, or we've started, but like I think it's definitely not gonna be the same. So like I will just still have to say my study habits are in transition. I'm still trying to figure it out. I am trying to get into flashcards for more like long-term memory. But that's it for my study habits personally.
One important thing you said was kind of like talking through things and listening. That's one thing I actually did as well. So after doing my own self-studying and making sure I had an understanding of what the material was, I was lucky my roommate was a med student as well. So we would both talk through the wrinkles that we had in materials, talk through our misunderstandings. And I found that was really one of the things that solidified information for me. And to this day, I remember our conversations, and what you remember the most is things that you didn't understand, that you talk through, and then you finally understand it through the conversation. So that's the kind of stuff that really solidifies information for me. So I did both flashcards and talking it out with a classmate.
I think that just make sure to surround, like this kind of goes into like relationships and friends and whatnot, but like when you're trying to figure out like a study group, make sure it's like people that you can like actually study with. I think there's a difference between friends and people that you can study with. Like
don't feel bad saying or not studying with a friend. The material is more important than this. I don't know.
You gotta set your priorities at that point. It's like, I'm trying to study here. Exactly. Like, we can't talk. Like, and that's the thing. Like, you can go into like the whole like friends and thing, but like, just you gotta set your priorities and like, I'm studying right now, so don't talk to me. Exactly. Sorry. Exactly. That's how it is. And then find the time later on to like, hang out with this person. Like, be intentional about setting some time aside. But like, That's so important.
That's real.
Because I think I found myself like at certain points
Not
where I was just
focusing
like
because-
not focused
yeah.
because I wasn't studying with the right people.
And if they're your real friends, they'll understand.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
you know, but if they're not, then cool, cut them off. Simple.
All right. Okay. Oh my god.
Oh, here we go.